This video is brought to you by Cracks Only. Check out the link in the video description below to get to their website and check out their latest products. Trust me, you do not want to miss them. What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to United View. Welcome to Hybrid Show. Welcome to Half and Half, actually. Welcome to the Match Day Reloaded, and also welcome to the Transfer View. Happy Monday, 15th of Jan. It's a new week. It's halfway through the first month of the year of 2024. So, you know, big up to everyone who's got through the first 15 days. How you feeling? What's going on? All of that good stuff. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. As you can see, though, straight off the bat, as per usual, this video is brought to you by Cracks Only. The link for all of their gear and merch is in the video description below. Big streetwear brand and soccer brand, football brand out there in LA doing big things. We're doing a partnership with them over the next few months. We did a lot of stuff with them over in the States in the summer. And the rumor has it, I think it was from Samuel Luckhurst, actually, that Man United might be going back to San Diego again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know they're definitely going to go back to America, but San Diego was one of those as well. So maybe some more things in the pipeline. But big up to Alfredo and all the guys there at Cracks Only. The link's in the video description below. I've got my T-shirt on here. As you can see, my Cracks Only T-shirt. This is just one of many. Whether you are playing football and you need your grip socks and your undershirts and all of the stuff that comes with that, shorts, T-shirts, training gear, all of that stuff. Or if you don't play football at all and you're just interested in fashion, hoodies, jackets, puffer jackets, backpacks, tracksuits, everything, it's there for you guys as well. So yeah, get involved, even down to wash bag. Where's my wash bag? Oh, my wash bag's in a different room, actually. I've like this little wash bag that I bring when I go places and stuff. And people at Sky were like, oh, that's a lovely wash bag. Is that like Louis Vuitton? No, mate, Cracks Only. Cracks Only. So yes, big up to those guys. And like I said, anything you need, the link is in the video description below. And there's some bits coming over from the States to me and KG as well. And we'll bring you those as soon as we get them because they are fire. Okay. Big up, Alfredo and the gang. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. Obviously, there is the Hannibal situation front of house and the fallout from Spurs, because I feel like a few people are on different wavelengths, as most of us fans usually are when things aren't going right. There's so many different perspectives to take into consideration. And I just want to start there. And I just want to open up the floor to Owen, to you guys at home, to some of the reactions that have been online. Some people didn't agree with where I was at with it, with not being happy with what we saw. Other people were like, what do you expect? Injury still coming back. Upstairs needs to change, this, that, and the other. Just loads of different mitigating circumstances. Big up to Minnie, just sent it in the chat as well. So straight off the bat, I want to open up that. But before we do, there's a couple of early super chats as well. And super chats are super important, of course. WJ Barrett says, in straight away, I've slept and I can't be happy with yesterday. And the process under Eric Ten Hag is not good, guys. We need change, and I'm not sure where. Yeah, well, WJ Barrett coming straight in, swinging. Big opinion there. Not happy. Aminor, big up. It was good to see you last night, bro. Says, Flex, do you think the players can't be asked with Ten Hag's style now? We'll get into that as well. So let's talk. Let's talk.
Yes, let's indeed talk. I mean, this is why we're a few minutes late, because we were actually debating sort of what do we start with, because there's the Hannibal stuff, and then obviously there's the reaction from the game as well. Got some quotes from the game yesterday, Flex, from Eric Ten Hag himself. Then we'll get your thoughts, because you were quite bold on your opinions in your fan view and your Flex's view yesterday. So Eric Ten Hag spoke after the game, and he said, I'm quite disappointed when you go ahead twice and then you concede 2 soft goals. It is a bit frustrating, but you have to take it as it is. He says the attitude from the team was great. The spirit was great. We fought and gave everything. The fans were behind us, and I think it was a great game for everyone to see, not just Man United fans, because there was a great tempo to the game. He then also said senior players like Casemiro, Martinez, and Luke Shaw are returning. And when you add that to our team, I'm sure it is a strong side. Now, as I mentioned, Flex, you were very blunt, actually. the clip went out on social media last night. I saw you reacted to it this morning, where you said, "I'm just going to be cut to the chase. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm disappointed." Now that you've slept on it, how are you feeling about yesterday's game? Have you changed? Have you not changed? How are you feeling?
I'm basically doubling down, to be honest with you. I thought my initial feeling was right, and I still believe it is right. Well, no one can tell you your feeling is wrong, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? My overwhelming sense of reaction and emotion yesterday, both watching the game and then when the full-time whistle went, I was like, this is poor. Like, I'm looking at this Spurs side before the game, and I looked at their team sheet, and I already knew they would have, players missing. We already knew how much players would be missing. But then you saw that even Kulusevski wasn't there. Lo Celso wasn't there. And their players, obviously Kulusevski's a great player, and Lo Celso's been a player who's actually started to do okay under Ange, and even he wasn't there. Dragason's just got there. Timo Werner's crap and just got off the plane. Mickey van der Ven's been out.
Have you seen the goal contribution for Anthony?
Got a goal contribution. So they're saying that they're already doing the head-to-head v Anthony. So, Mickey van der Ven's only just got back fit. Romero's just got back in. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, I looked at that team, Skip, Højbjerg, and that Bentancur's been out for ages, but just coming back. And I'm like, they've got no Maddison, no Son, no Kulusevski. That's like the most potent of their forward line. They're the three best players of their whole forward line. Yeah, they've got Skip and Højbjerg in there who don't play. They've got no Sarr, no Basuma. Like, I thought, what more do you want, Man United? So when we want to talk about injuries, let's look at our starting lineup. Apart from Leacher, who pretty much starts instead of Johnny Evans, let's say, and we've been without him for a long time. Cool. One of Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. Let's not act like neither of them are senior pros. Whoever plays out of the two when Luke Shaw's fit is just who it is. So that's not weakening us.
It must be stressed that Ten Hag did say after the game, we went into this game assuming Luke Shaw was going to start, and he dropped out at the last minute.
So he dropped out at the last minute, and obviously Casemiro should start. Other than that, we're saying Anthony's pony, so we don't want him to play ever. So Garnacho starts, Rashford starts, Højlund starts, Bruno starts. We don't want Scott McTominay because we say he's rubbish, so let's probably put what's his face in? Christian Eriksen. So he's a senior, he starts. Rafael Varane, we want to see start. Onana's the starter. Like, don't just blame injuries for us being shit. When I saw Spurs, like, with loads of injuries and loads of absentees, still do the same thing. Now, the reason why they didn't create better chances and better opportunities was because of the drop-off in quality of the players that they had to come in, but their system and their fluidity was still the same. The football that they played was still the same. And I looked at us and I just thought, this is poor. We've created 2 good chances, which Rasmus Højlund took fantastically well, which Rashford kind of ran into Udogie doing a Rashford special, let's be clear. I actually, because it happened so quick and I hadn't seen it back, people were good to alert me to. It wasn't actually a Rashford assist. It was Udogie tackling it back into Rasmus Højlund's path.
It was, to be honest, that first goal was
a Rashford special.
It was typical Rashford. He ran into a blind alley. Yeah.
So from where I was sitting, you can't see that. So unless you see the goal back, it looks like Rashford passes it to him. So fair play. But what a finish from Rasmus Højlund. Second one, very deliberate assist, set to Rashford, sorts his feet out. Lucky Pedro Porro is not as good going backwards as he is going forward, because he's brilliant going forward, by the way. He was at all 6s and 7s and let Rashford cut an easy goal. But other than that, what did we do? Apart from the chance at the end, which is a hopeful cross from a good cross from Garnacho for Scott McTominay, where he should score, or at least hit the target. What did we do? What did Vicario have to do? And I think if you're a Spurs fan and you're looking at how many players they had out and they still managed to play their football and play their game, you're way happier than us. And what I don't like is, as soon as we try to say that Ten Hag, put some blame on Ten Hag or talk about the deficiencies, like me and Cam saying the players just aren't fit. I'm saying, so it's not about lack of quality and the ideas that Ten Hag's trying to put across. No, they're just not fit, he was saying. If they were fitter, they'll be a lot better. KG was like, but we're rubbish. Like, what did you expect? Like, that, it's not all bad. And I'm saying, no, like, as soon as we mention Ten Hag, we just deflect with all of these things. And it never just stays on Ten Hag for that minute, because people think, but that Ineos have just come in and the upstairs, or that we've had injuries. And when I'm listing the players that are there, well, half of them he's bought. He's bought half of them. So again, you may as well just say you're Ten Hag out then. Just say it, you're Ten Hag out. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the criticism and the conversation can be on Ten Hag. without it being you're a horrible fan and you just won't back the manager. You can talk about it. It's okay. It's okay. That's what's frustrating me.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was kind of saying in the full-time view yesterday. I said some people, I think I was speaking to Aminor. He was one of the first calls outside Old Trafford, and I said, does it worry you that the question will be, and it's a valid question. I don't see any reason why it's not a valid question to ask, which is, Spurs have got all of those injuries, but they still played their way. We got dominated yesterday, dominated off at home. Because they've got their style of play. And it should be the other way around. I mean, in the second year, we should be like, right, we're doing this sort of like, dominating possession. And they should be like, we've got our style of play, but we're going to Old Trafford. They're at home. They're going to dominate the game. We've got to adapt. We're adapting at home to a team that's playing away, that's injury ravaged. Now, we've got injuries too, but so have they. And they've still got their style of play. And we've got Ten Hag's coming out and saying, the injuries, when they come back, they'll be better. And we will, but I don't know. Yesterday was just one of those ones
how much?
where...
How much do you think will be better? Will we?
Well, and I don't know. Are we also saying that once our players come back, are we going to start getting to 65% possession, 70% possession? Because I think this is the thing here. And sometimes maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation to have because people don't want to hear it. But if Spurs had their strongest players yesterday, and I think if we had our strongest players yesterday, I think Spurs win that game.
Which we were only a couple of players off having as well, by the way. Let's not just up. And when I said that to KG's thing was, he was like, but football just doesn't work like that. And I saw the Roy Keane thing. Listen, Roy Keane's prime Roy Keane. When Roy Keane's defending us in the public eye and being tribal and ruffling the feathers, do you know what I mean? He does the Roy Keane thing. He's basically saying everyone banging on about Spurs, how great they were. They didn't win. They got a draw. Everyone talk about injuries. Yeah, Man United got some players out. It's a tough moment for Man United. They didn't. Everyone lauding at Spurs. All we do is talk about players who aren't here. And from a tribal perspective, it's like, I'd say that to a Spurs fan to get one up. Do you know what I mean? But deep down, let's be honest, Roy Keane's probably looking at that. And me, even if it's not Roy Keane, I speak for myself, I'm still looking at it like, nah, mate, we got had up. They had us up. Like, they had us up. You know what I mean? Udogie and Porro were causing so much problems going into the midfield. We didn't have a clue how to deal with it. Set pieces were an absolute mess. This zonal marking, and I highlighted Kobbie Mainoo just because it's happened to him in the last couple of games where he's getting a bit swallowed up and lost in all the commotion because, our big centre backs and everyone's there's no accountability when it's zonal. It's just if someone comes into your space, get active.
Because I said that on Twitter. I said that on Twitter. I said, Kobbie's been, because he got pinned for the goal and then he got pinned for the one where they hit the bar and he got pinned a couple of weeks ago as well. But
and then it happened to him against Villa. Yeah,
exactly. But then you realise but why is he being put in that situation from a defensive point of view? And then even the goal they scored in the second half, Bentancur's goal. Yeah. The fact that it happened so quickly, to me, says that's a conversation at halftime when the Spurs coaches have gone, guys, like they've gone to Skip or whatever. The gaps in their midfield are so big. Just play it through. You'll be in. Because particularly, and I agree with your reaction to the game yesterday when you were saying, first half we were all right. Like, we weren't bad. Obviously, went in at halftime 2-1. We weren't great, but we were okay. But second half, in terms of second half performances, I think probably the sort of biggest credit I can give us is that, I'm just glad we didn't lose that record. Like that record of, going ahead at Old Trafford and in the Premier League, never losing them when you've been ahead at halftime. Because genuinely, when they scored after 50 seconds, I thought that's going. I thought that's the record, because that's like the big record still left, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I thought that's going to go. And because every time they came forward, every time they had a set piece, I thought they're going to score. And that's a variety of factors. That's, like I said, the midfield being so open, because if they get the ball, they can just play straight through. That's, if it's a corner, if they put it in the 6-yard box, the goalkeeper isn't claiming it. He's just not going to do that. And he's going to stand there with his hands up, and I thought, what are we going to do here? And the ironic thing is, and it would have kind of really been our season, is that, if anything, should have won the game towards the end of it, had the best chance to win.
There's some really interesting super chats on this, actually, on that point, Owen. Excuse me. Let's go back to it. WJ Barrett says, how is Ange schooling us with that team? And we dare talk about injuries. This isn't on. We have no style of play and we can't keep shape. It isn't good. Nathan Joseph says injuries impact quality, not philosophy. Eric Ten Hag is being outcoached by 95% of managers we come up against. He's cheating us. And WJ Barrett says, guys, we were playing crap when we had no injuries. Kishan says, why are Spurs, this is the other side, and more of that, the Roy Keane side, I want to talk about this. Kishan says, why are Spurs getting so much praise? They weren't that good. Let's not use injuries as we don't get to use that. You say, how much did Vicario have to do? But what did Onana have to do in the game? Which he didn't have to make loads of saves as well. I agree. Akut says as well, Flex, I get your vex. I know you'll reflect later, LOL, but you're telling me Casemiro and Martinez don't make a difference to this team. So just if I go back, big up to you, Akut. We'll get to that one as well. So much opinion coming in from you guys. Let's get to Kishan's one first, where he's basically saying, why are Spurs getting so much praise? They weren't that good. They didn't win. What did Vicario have to do? I'm saying, but also what did Onana have to do? And you're right. You're right. I'm not lauding Spurs as the best team in the world, and I'm just talking about the balance of the game, about how they outplayed us and doing the right things more consistently well. And therefore, my feeling during the game was that they were probably going to create another chance and open us up and score before we did. Now, in true Man United fashion, we nearly did a proper Man United jing bang near the end, which is McTominay, which would have hid what really went on in the 90 minutes. And I just looked at it from a football perspective. Who said that again? Kishan, where I'm like, cool. Yeah, Spurs didn't win, so let's not gas them up too much. I understand that. But when I'm seeing the way that they're playing with the players that they're missing versus the way that we're playing, with or without the players that we've been missing, let's not dress it up like last year was very transitional and made sure we did what we have to do. We built some rhythm, we built some momentum in terms of results, but the style of play, we weren't really focusing on too much because rightly so, we were like, we need to get through this first year. We're challenging on all fronts. We've gone deep into the FA Cup, deep into the Carabao Cup. We're pushing for fourth. What was the other thing? We went, and then obviously what happened in Europe where we went deep into it and then it came crumbling down. So it was less about the style of play and more about competing on all these fronts. But now we've kind of shifted, and rightly so, into the second year of development and more signings of style of play and fluidity. All we talk about is that there's injuries, which obviously do change what's going to happen. But my thing is, I just don't think we've dealt with that very well. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we've dealt with that very well.
I think the thing is, and look, and I've been critical, or I've sort of pushed back on some of the praise Spurs and Ange Postecoglou have got this season because it has gone overboard. Some of the stuff with the media
ain't done nothing yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've facetiously said, they won the league in October with the way that they were chatting, weren't they? I think the reason they're getting praised yesterday, though, is because it's really what we want. We want to come out of a game, and if we don't win, we want to say, but I tell you what, we played some really good stuff yesterday. We played some really good stuff. We played some really attractive, good-looking football. And we don't do that. And I think the reason that Spurs are getting praised is because if you look at those teams on paper, like Spurs shouldn't be dominating those games against us. Because if you look at the players,
and Højbjerg, and
exactly.
Not be doing that.
When you go, I've got Eriksen midfield. They got young Kobbie Mainoo in midfield. They got Bruno Fernandes. They got Marcus Rashford. They got young Alejandro Garnacho. They got Rafael Varane. And I know, and again, I'm not saying that we haven't got injuries, because we have. We've got, Casemiro and Martinez are back on the bench. Still got people like Mason Mount still out, etc., etc. So that's not my kind of point I'm proving. We had Luke Shaw missing, but if you're going to weigh up those teams on paper yesterday, that Spurs team shouldn't be dominating that United team in the manner that they did on their own patch. I think that's the point, isn't it? But
it does show where we're at.
And that's not good enough. And the worry is that I have with it is that, so when we get those players back, are we then just going to sort of snap in to some sort of different playing style? Because I don't think we are. I don't think we are going to sort of snap. Are we going to snap into, like I said earlier on, 60, 65, 70% possession against the bigger teams, against the top 6 teams? Maybe when we're playing, Sheffield United at home or Burnley at home, we might. But in a game like that, are we really going to sort of dominate a top 6 rival? And I don't think we are. And then that goes back into what is our what's our style of play? What's our tactical style then? Is it, playing counter-attack like we did yesterday? Because that's quite a sharp contrast to what Ten Hag was doing at Ajax. We did last year, but we always said last year that was out of sort of compromising, because he didn't have the players for it. We've then had a summer transfer window where we're meant to be getting closer to the style, and we're further away from it than we were. And this goes back to my point too. And I've said this a lot, and people recently have gone, oh, just like you said, Flex, just admit it. They want to shake you. Just admit it. You're Ten Hag out, aren't you? And I'm really not. I've said I'm everyone out. But I think with performances like yesterday and displays like yesterday, I think and then some of the comments that we'll do afterwards, I think he makes it easy for Ineos. I think he's making it really easy come the end of the season, once all the different pieces are in place, the new CEO, the new sporting director, the new head of recruitment. I think he makes it easy for them to be like, let's at least consider an alternative. What would an alternative look like? I think that's part of the problem. And let's be honest, like,
do you think they will? Do you think they'll have the balls to do that?
I've mocked Chelsea this season, said Chelsea is shit, blah blah blah. We're only like a point ahead of them now. Now we're fully mid-table.
So when I'm saying mid-table mafia and all that, that's
it's true. It's true. And you asked the question. I do think Ineos will consider it. Again, for weeks, my prediction has been towards the end of the season, I think there's a real danger of Ten Hag becoming a bit of a lame duck manager, which is everyone knows his future, probably including himself, but it's not confirmed. A bit like Sarri when he was at Chelsea, a bit like Rafa Benitez when he was at Chelsea, a bit like, those managers when you go, everyone knows they're going, but they have to wait. I feel like that's my worry with him. Now, I hope, and maybe it is just pure hopium, but I hope that, you do get the players back and we get a string of results and you go, actually, he does. I don't think we'll get top 4, but we get like Europe and it's like, oh, well, let's see. Let's give it another go. But I think there'll be the debate. I think there'll be the debate at the end of the season.
Well, you got to look at it like this. We look at the current top 6. Forget the top 2. I know people say, well, hang on a minute, but really, let's forget Arsenal. I don't think they're going to be that bad where they get dragged into 6 and 7. Stranger things have happened. And if it does, we can laugh and ask and all that. But let's be real. They're not going to drop lower than West Ham, United, Brighton, Chelsea, Newcastle at this moment in time as well, who are struggling. They're not. Even Villa.
My worry is that 4, they're pulling away. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. We're already 8 points.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, City. In some combination.
And Spurs, but even Spurs, they're good enough when they get their players back. When flipping Son gets back from the Asia Cup, when Sarr and Basuma come back, when Maddison comes back, they're going to be like new signings for them, especially Maddison being out that long. They're going to go back to playing on the front foot, 1 game a week, the FA Cup as well, and they got the system. Spurs can get into like where Villa are. They're only 3 points behind. Like they can. And Villa, let's be honest, when they start going in further in the Conference League and want to start hitting you, they're going to drop off a little bit, I think, and maybe like 5th. So they could easily replace Villa. What my point is that out of the rest of the pack, and this is why I think 6th is the ceiling, because Tottenham, Arsenal, Villa, City, and Liverpool are all better than us. And I don't think they're going to get worse than us anytime soon. Brighton, Chelsea, Newcastle is about where we're at, which is the inconsistencies. Forget the style of football and all that, just in terms of inconsistencies. I think West Ham now, they've got loads of injuries as well, will probably fall out. Then it will just be us trickling along. Look at us in the last 5. 1 win in the last 5. 2 draws, 2 losses, 1 win. It's going to be like that. And the teams around that will probably be like that as well. But Chelsea are on the up. They've got fucking 4 wins in the last 5.
They're still bad, though. Would you see them against?
Of course they are. I saw them against Fulham. Absolutely. But this they might keep nicking it like that.
But your point there, it's an interesting one. And I think this sort of kind of explains my feeling after yesterday. So you mentioned like Spurs, Maddison back, Basuma back, Son back. Like you said, they'll get better because how they played yesterday, that stuff will just be enhanced. Whereas United get the players back, Martinez, Casemiro, what play are they?
Same way.
What play are they enhancing? You know what I mean? Is it going to be like I don't know. We'll play better, obviously, because they're some of our best players, so we'll play better. But for instance, the midfield, and this is why I've been pushing back on Casemiro a lot lately. Of course, Casemiro is still a quality player. You take that away from him at all. But yesterday, those gaps that were there, They've been there all season. They were there in the first game of the season when it was Casemiro and Mason Mount. They've been there in any combination that you've had in midfield. Just because Casemiro's back, that doesn't mean that those
gaps
run around
everywhere
are going to get shorter, because nobody can cover those gaps. Not even Casemiro, particularly Casemiro, that's on the wrong side of 30. So those gaps are still going to be that. Like we'll probably win more games because we've got better players playing, but the sort of more fundamental sort of discussions will still be there.
Not going to improve. Exactly. Big up to Mike as well, because I noticed this during the game as well. Can we also say how rubbish Bruno is at corners, as he never beats the first man? Also, this short corner routine is Sunday League. I looked at every single corner that they had and a delivery and qualitative delivery from Pedro Porro. So good that they make him take it from both sides, right? And the way he whips it in, flat trajectory, quick, it just puts everybody in the box in panic stations. Every defending player, you're in big trouble with the way that ball's getting fizzed in. The keeper can't come, and usually, with Onana, he's not the most commanding in terms of coming and clearing out everything.
No, anyway. I'm telling you, with Andre Onana right yesterday, like we've made a mistake with that. We have.
One way, what should have come first goal?
No, we've made a mistake in the sense of, I don't necessarily think it was an error to be like, all right, we need to move on from David De Gea or anything like that. What we've made an error is we have got the wrong type of goalkeeper for the team that we currently are right now. Andre Onana,
for not being that.
Andre Onana, if you drop him into Man City, brilliant, because they don't concede many chances. They have a few a game, make a save, or if it goes in, it doesn't matter. For us, like yesterday, or just in general, we concede so many chances in a game. He is not the goalkeeper to bail you out in terms of making 4 or 5 big, unbelievable saves. He's not that. We're not that team. Yesterday's an example. He's a possession-based goalkeeper, and we're not playing possession-based football. So that doesn't compute to me. that doesn't compute at all. If you dropped Andre Onana in, like, for instance, the Spurs team, he's a better fit for the Spurs team. I think Vicario is a much better goalkeeper, by the way. But if you dropped Onana in the Spurs team, he'd be better because they're dominating the game. He could pick out passes, blah, blah, blah. But in the United team, it doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work. And for a team yesterday that was playing on the counter-attack as well, he'd get the ball, he'd slow the game down. You go, looking around on the box, what am I going to do? Try and play out from the back. And then, to be honest, it was all redundant anyway, because then when we do give it to, whoever it is, pass out of defense, go into midfield, give it away, come straight back. We couldn't string. I mentioned this on Twitter yesterday, Flex. The technical ability in our team is frighteningly bad on the ball, like frighteningly bad. We could not string together, particularly in the second half, 3 passes.
No, technical ability is pathetic. It's pathetic. And but Onana's, he's bought him for envisaging that our team isn't going to be like that anymore. You're right, it doesn't work now. But in Ten Hag's defense, he believes that we're not going to be that team anymore and will be possession based on it, which makes it even more sort of crazy as to how far off that we actually are, which is why you got to take a lot of criticism. A lot of super chats here. But before I get to super chats, over 1,100 people watching, 120 likes. Guys, we can do way better. We can do way, way, way better than that. Let's go. I don't know why we can't get 500 likes, at least for the honesty being displayed today, the therapy that's happening right now, because we will talk about Hannibal and his move to Sevilla as well. We have still got to talk about that, but I think this is really interesting. I think Mina said it earlier. The full view is going to be very interesting today. It is, because this can't wash. We've got a lot to talk about, and we have to talk about Marcus Rashford as well. A lot of people want to talk about him, not just to scapegoat him to say the reason why we're rubbish is all because of him, but because there really does need to be a discussion about him and some others. So yes, please smash a like on the video. Let's. I've set the bar at 500 before the end of the show. If you're just joining the show, hit like, hit subscribe, get involved in the chat. There's loads of comments coming in. I'll read out some of the comments from the members as well. You get exclusive members only perks, which is definitely priority chat. People getting involved just in the regular chat as well. Don't want it to just be all super chats. You can be heard just getting your thoughts and opinions in the regular chat. And of course, all super chats will be read out. Let's go to the regular comments section as well. Mike says, thank you, Owen. Perfect analysis, says Michael. I think that's about Onana. Fat Force says, De Gea is a good shot stopper, and that's who this team needs at the moment. Skiliana says, 50 million on Onana. Spurs spent 30 million on Van de Ven. who has improved Spurs. Ben says not only Onana, a couple players at United would suit other teams way better. Kenny Fan TV, let's go to some of our members, says Onana is a garbage keeper. Even that Equatorial Guinea keeper has a better shot stopping than Onana. DK says Bruno is a problem attacking wise, but why is he the only player that looks like he has legs? We gas out after 20 minutes. That's very true, actually. He is that is so true, DK. Because I was watching that yesterday.
Everyone does, don't they? Oh, it is
everyone gasses out and can't move. Yeah, but Bruno is fit though. Like, although it might not be conducive to what we're trying to do, it's him doing it on his own. Just that noticing that thing is like, apart from me, he's the only one who can literally run to the end and then fall on his knees at the end of the final whistle. Everyone else just stops after like 20 minutes. And that is what Cam was talking about the fitness. And you're right about the attacking problem, giving the ball away, doing mad passes, not helping us keep the ball. You're right. But I agree with what you're saying about the fitness bit there. Nikhil S, another member, says, people talking about distribution when we ain't playing possession base, which is kind of what Owen's alluding to, though. Imran, another member, says the three behind the striker can't pass to save their life, and the midfield has no legs and physicality. Kenny Fan TV says, I drank vodka during my watch along.
Wouldn't recommend.
Yes, maybe don't do that. Nikhil says he can't catch. Lieutenant General says we have a super leaky defense and a static midfield. And the last one from the regular chat before we get to super chats, let's go with Trivash. Trivash says set piece coach needs to be sacked. So I've just picked out a few of the chats there. Remember, guys, it doesn't have to be super chats or memberships, etc., etc. Anyone can get involved in the conversation. Let's head over to super chats now. It's just Danny is the latest member of the United View. Welcome to the family, bro. Big up to you. It's just Danny. Good to see you. Ketch Shadil says Spurs are just running around risking themselves. Spurs are not good. Next season, Spurs will have more than 11 injuries. United are cooking. Interesting. Catch your deal. Very positive towards us. Kyle says there is a difference between quality and ability. Skip can play Ange ball. McTominay can't even pass. You know we have technically limited players, which is true. Michael, been a member for 7 months, says, how can professional footballers playing in the Premier League not be able to string more than 3 passes together without hitting a long ball, which ends up as a 50-50? Agreed. HA says world-class Garnacho got locked up by Udogie. I've been on what's his face? Tobe says how was world-class Garnacho? Didn't say he was world-class. Said he's a world-class talent. Talent means he might be able to be world-class. Whether he fulfills that or not, I don't know. And yesterday he did.
By the way, hold that thought, because when we talk about Rashford in a second, I've got. Yeah. I think Garnacho ties into this. So
yes, and Garnacho actually still, nearly provided an assist right near the end.
Yeah, hold that thought.
And Udogie, was busy. He's at one point heading towards his own post, and he scored an own goal. So it happens. They're both young, but yeah, he got locked up. He really struggled. Udogie absolutely dominated him. And Udogie's class, by the way. Ray says set pieces are starting to define us this season. The lack of solid defending them, and the no quality in taking them. 100% agree with that. And Akut says you're saying them gaps were there, Owen, but let's be real. Playing Mount next to Casemiro, what do you think was going to happen? We should be playing Casemiro next to Mainu. So that means you're basically saying, Akit, when Casemiro comes back in next to Kobe, there won't be any gaps and we'll be fine. And I bet you there will be. I bet you there will be. And the last one here, Owen, before I hand back to you. RC, Super Chat's flying in a minute. Against rotated Brighton, makeshift Newcastle, Spurs without key players, still got outclassed tactically. Delusion is high with Eric Ten Hag fans. And let's not forget, makeshift Newcastle. I was going to say that one. Yeah, when they came and slapped us out the Carabao Cup with like Emil Kraft and bloody what's his name? Who else played? You don't normally play. Dummit. Come on.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah. Another one. PJ says Tottenham and other teams show good team management beats money. Get Eric Ten Hag out.
Well, it was so Dave Brailsford, his famous quote from him is a star team beats a team full of stars, which is an interesting quote, certainly, as well. Yeah. I wanted to bring up Marcus Rashford because obviously, look, yesterday he scored. Yeah. And against Wigan on Monday, he got an assist. Yesterday, he got a goal and an assist, kind of. I don't know whether or not it was if it's gone down as an assist to him. Regardless, Eric Ten Hag spoke after the game about Marcus Rashford and Rasmus Højlund and their link-up. He said they are growing together, so keep going with the progress regarding those two. Look, when it comes to Marcus Rashford yesterday, I'm going to be really honest, Flex. I'm still really, really worried about him, and I'm still really concerned. I know that they can talk about how Garnacho got locked up and things of that nature. I said this during the full-time view as well. I don't understand why during the game there wasn't at least any periods of time where it was like, actually, you know what, you two, swap over for a little bit. Because we were getting a lot down the left-hand side, but Marcus Rashford is becoming, I mean, so frustratingly predictable. The decision-making is non-existent with him. He gets the ball and he moves forwards and he will cut inside, or he'll try and go around. If he goes around the outside, it goes out off the pitch for a throw-in a couple of times. Or if he cuts inside, he goes past one, he goes past two, he goes past three, and then there are three defenders and he'll run into them. And you've got all of these people in spaces. I mean, like we said, even Højlund's goal, the first one, that's what that was. That was cutting inside, going in, ricochets, Højlund, put your foot through it. I mean, this is how crazy it is as well. And Marcus Rashford, this is what I didn't get to. And we can see it right now on the screen. You know, when he scored, he started giving that to the crowd. Basically, like, you know, keep talking, keep talking. Mate, that's the first goal you've scored at Old Trafford since May. Like, Roy Keane said it after the game. You're justified. People are justified to talk about you when you had this great season last season. You've got this new bumper contract and no way of dressing up. You've been shit this season. You've not been good. And then to be like, yeah, keep talking. Even in the game when you scored your goal and afterwards, but you still did the same stuff over and over and over again. And like I said, you saw towards the end of the game when we should have won it. Where did that come from? Garnacho, where? Off the left-hand side. So if Garnacho had a 20, 30-minute period on the left-hand side, I think he'd got just as much freedom as Marcus Rashford, and maybe he'd have tried to get some balls into the box. There was one point in the game, Rashford, he was in a really good position to get the ball in the box, fires it straight into Vicario. Then another one, again, goes past the fullback, just shepherds him out. Because if I was a fullback, honestly, I would be, and I knew I was playing against Marcus Rashford, I'd feel quite comfortable because I know what he's going to do. If he goes outside of me, I'll just shepherd him. He'll go off the pitch. If he cuts inside, as long as I've got another defender next to me, we'll be fine. And during the game, it clicked to me, all of this sort of criticism about Rashford this season, about playing on the left, and then he was out of the team for a while, dropped out of the team for illness. I kind of realised, I was like, this is a top 6 game. Rashford's playing back out on the left again. He just sort of come back in when it's been, Garnacho's been our best winger this season.
That's because Anthony's been so rubbish, and actually Garnacho showed he's been kind of the most versatile. Even though he's young and still trying to learn the game and isn't a senior pro, it's him who's getting moved out of position.
Yeah.
Because he's showing I'll still give you something out there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's the one that's playing well. So we're going, let's try and get him into the position we need fixing. And like I said, I felt bad for Garnacho in that instance because if they'd swapped sides, if Rashford was on the right-hand side, he'd have absolutely been marked out of the game as well. And I just thought, why didn't they switch at points during the game? But And this is the sort of territory we're in now too, is that on the face of it, Rashford got goal and assist. So how can you criticize? But if you watch the game, exactly. Yeah. But if you watch the game, you go, well, there's still a massive problem.
Apart from those two moments. And actually, you know what? Sometimes we can look into, I'm not one to try and look into things too much, like with players' faces or their celebrations. And I'm like, if you're doing your job, celebrate how you want and all that stuff. However, I did look back at that because I saw it like at half time, and I thought, giving it all that with the slide, and obviously, like, you can tell he's still not right because everyone's coming up to him really happy and was smiling, patting him on the back, and his face just didn't change. And maybe I'm being hypercritical, maybe I'm analysing this too much because of like all of the things you just said and how bad he has been and how bad we've been. Maybe I am, and I hope I'm overthinking this, and then he just keeps going on to score from now to the end of the season, starts looking happy again. But I looked at that and went, nah, that just shows like a bit of petulance, frustration, arrogance in that moment because you scored a really good goal, but your release, like look at Højlund's again. I know it's different, but it is indicative of what's going on in someone's head. Like what they do in euphoric moments, like when you're not really thinking, i.e. celebrating a goal, does give a lot if you, I know I'm getting quite psychological here, but you can show a lot. So Højlund's was sheer relief because I haven't scored since I've been here. Kissing the fans, thank you for sticking by me. Oh my God, like thank you. Obviously, Rashford's completely different. Seasoned pro, hundreds of appearances for Man United, been there, done it, scored loads of goals, and he's going for a tough moment. And his thing is, keep talking. You lot keep fucking. All I hear is my name. It felt like that.
The ironic thing is like last season, when he's scoring all of those goals, his celebration is pointing to his head. So he's going like mentality. If there was ever time to do it, that's yesterday. You know, you've had this dry spell at Old Trafford,
like,
and you go, look, I got through it because of this sort of thing. The last thing you want to be is combative, you know, keep talking. And then the problem is, like, if you're going to do that, then back it up. You know, if you're going to do that, then
in the rest of the game,
for the rest of the game, then don't go back to being what you've been all season, which is again like not good enough and just predictable. And he should honestly, after having the season he had and then getting this new contract, he, along with Anthony, I mean, these sort of, I know Anthony's young, they're all young, but the sort of senior wingers on the big contracts, they should be a bit embarrassed that, you know, there's Garnacho. I mean, we're saying, oh, can we get him on the right and the left in the same game? Because he's the one that's actually producing anything consistently.
Yeah.
And I get, and
it was bad,
and it's
the
not
more
like
I think about that, it's bad,
and it's not like it's just Marcus Rashford. So you're saying just Marcus Rashford is the problem? Not at all. There are so many problems in that United side, but there were points yesterday, and we weren't playing great football, but when we're breaking forward, and it's just it's so frustrating to watch, so frustrating. And I think you can put up with it last season because you're scoring goals, but once they dry up, then you go, well, what's going on there?
And again, not just doing the Rashford thing, moving the conversation on a little bit. You know, Bruno, like he was involved in some good moments, like his passing forward to get attacks going, but largely he didn't do nothing either. Like, I know at one point, actually off the ball, you wouldn't be able to see it on camera unless Gary Neville was highlighting it in commentary, which I don't know if he did. That would have been all over the internet if it was. But in the stadium, you could. There was one point in the second half because Spurs had scored early and then they were just dominating after that. We couldn't get the ball off them for like 15 minutes. Where we were pressing and he was leading that press in the first sort of 5-10 minutes when we were really aggressive, and I was actually quite impressed with what we were doing. In the second, he just gave up. Like, he went to run to go close someone down, whether it was Van der Ven or Romero or something. He looked and then somebody else weren't there with him, and he did that. He looked to his left and that person was arriving late. Then they were just bopping it around him like he was a little kid against little year 5 against year 11s, like just running around like an idiot, getting it bopped around him. And it's like he didn't do nothing either. And you know, you look at midfield, Christian Eriksen. Again, he's in there to provide a little bit of quality, get a foot on the ball and get us playing. He's not having any impact on the game. Then physically, he can't go after people and win any. He can't win any duels. He can't win. Apart, maybe like a 50-50, or maybe even a 60-40 that might be in his favour where the ball's on the floor, where he's just further ahead than the other player, so he should win it. Actual physically out-muscling someone, out-jumping someone, you know, outpacing someone to get there before them. He just, and I'm not saying I expect that from him. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have it. So when he doesn't have that, and then the game's not going the way we want it to, which is us being on the front foot and being able to use the attributes of Christian Eriksen, popping it off, you know, giving it to somebody one touch, round the corner, get it back on his weaker foot, you know, switch a play, you know, just getting him on the ball. We're not doing that. So he's null and void. Then you bring in McTominay, who the only reason really he's on there is to try and get us a goal. And he didn't do that, which he should have done near the end. It's just so disjointed in there. And Casemiro, technically, his passing and his ball retention, let's be honest, I can almost guarantee it. And you can call me the most negative of negative now, because I get it. Casemiro coming back should give us a lift. And I don't want to be this guy. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope in 5 games' time, you go on Monday the 15th flex. Remember when you were saying that 5 games ago, Cass has been brilliant. But we've seen the limitations in his passing. We've seen the limitations of him on the ball. He doesn't help us keep the ball technically any better. He doesn't. He's not a technically sound midfielder. Like, he can get about the pitch. He's got great experience and actually is a bit of a goal threat. And sometimes when he got time and space, he can zing a ball out to the left or right. And I'm not saying that he's crap. I'm just saying from a technical aspect, from when he comes back into the team, and then a physical aspect in terms of how many times did he get run past, even last season?
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean this is it's more. This is when I go back to the gaps. It's more sort of it's the system, and like you point out yesterday when you go to Bruno. So for the first goal, brilliant pass by Bruno. You go, right, great. You know that's that to me, like 2 minutes in, I thought, well, that's the game plan that we thought it was going to be in this game. Spurs play a high line. We actually had quite a lot of success against the high line against Aston Villa. We're going to win the ball back, 2 or 3 passes up the pitch, get behind the defense, try and score. And that worked. But then after that, Bruno clearly, I think, felt quite confident with his sort of passing after that, because then, I mean, you want to talk about 1% passes in that game? My word. Bruno Fernandes was trying like the 1% passes, and like particularly in the second half, like you said, when Spurs have been on the ball at points for like 5-minute periods, 10-minute periods, the last thing you want is then you win the ball back, it goes to your captain, and then he just tries to spam this pass over the top, and it goes straight back to the goalkeeper. Boom, they get the ball back, and suddenly we're under pressure again. And as you point out, Christian Eriksen, that was the reason I think everyone assumed why he played yesterday was, right, you got some good passes, get behind the defense. You didn't really do anything. Yes, they just got run past, And we mentioned earlier on about that sort of midfield. You could say, well, Eriksen doesn't have the legs. That's why the gaps are so big. Casemiro, he's probably got more legs than Eriksen, but he's not Casemiro of 10 years ago. And and honestly, unless you've got like a prime N'Golo Kante, I mean, the gaps are so big in that midfield. I don't know who can cover that.
And Kobe's not that. And Kobe, and we also need to, obviously, listen, we all wax lyrical about Kobe. He's going to be fantastic. What a good player he is already for his age. But he's still so young. He's still got so much to do. Sometimes he does get outrun. Sometimes he does take his eye off his marker. And he's just this 18-year-old kid. And it's more of a problem of what Man United is. We want these young kids in Højlund and Garnacho and Kobe Mainoo. And I say we, not as fans, but as the decisions we make, to just save us and make it all right. And these seasoned pros, these experienced pros, I'll just get to just be crap. Do you know what I mean? We have to talk about Hannibal, and also there was a piece from Mark Ogden that's discussing about this situation about Michael Olise, which I think is quite interesting as well. With the Wan-Bissaka situation. Let's just do Hannibal first and get the latest on that. But before we do that, smash a like on the video, please do. Remember, the video is brought to you by Cracksoli. 1,400 people of you watching now. Links in the description below. All of your stuff, whether it's your football gear, your training gear, your grip socks, etc., or just lifestyle, streetwear, hoodies, tracksuits, jumpers. It's all there. Caps, short sets, t-shirts, everything is all there. Big up to Alfredo and the guys. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with Cracksoli over the next couple of months as well, and hopefully into the summer as well. So check it out. The links in the video description below. And as you can see, the video is brought to you by Cracksoli. PJ, we got to that one. Show says first goal at home since May, and he celebrates like that. What an entitled spoiled brat. He's what's wrong with this club. Get rid in the summer. Show not mixing his words at all. Court Star says, I was at the game yesterday with my dad and chatting to KG, and he was going to say, well, go on, but had a train to catch. We are an easy team to play against. Sorry, KG, you didn't get to speak to him properly. Right, let's go with the Hannibal thing so we can get to the
very quickly with this Hannibal stuff. There's been quite a lot of confusion over the last sort of 24 hours or so. So first of all, Fabrizio Romano tweeted out last night, Hannibal Mejbri to Sevilla, here we go. Agreement completed on a loan with a buy option clause approved by Man United. Now, this is the crux of it, the buyback clause. So initially, Romano said buyback clause also expected to be confirmed as final detail soon. Sevilla already wanted Hannibal last summer. Deal finally done. But then Romano tweeted a few minutes later, understand Man United will not have a buyback clause for Hannibal Mejbri. Sevilla can buy Hannibal in June for 20 million euros. This is the value of the buy option clause. But then again, this morning, Romano maybe intimated that there might be one or there wasn't one. He said Hannibal Mejbri on his way to do medical tests with Sevilla as loan deal with 20 million euro buy option clause will be signed today. After initial verbal agreement with Manchester United, Ineos requested a potential buyback clause in order to give their approval to the deal last night. Of course, if you remember, despite not being ratified, there was like this transfer agreement whilst this whole thing's going on, that Ineos still have to approve these like transfers and what have you. Now, David Ornstein has said from The Athletic, Sevilla have reached a provisional agreement with Manchester United to sign midfielder Hannibal Mejbri on loan until the summer. The Athletic reported last week that the Liga club were advancing towards a deal for the 20-year-old Tunisia international. It is set to feature an option to buy at 20 million euros, including add-ons, and a fixed buyback clause. Hannibal is traveling to Spain and will undergo a medical while the transfer is being finalized. If the purchase materializes, United would generate a sizable return on a player whose contract is scheduled to end in 2025. Of course, they triggered that extension on his contract. The buyback mechanism would then ensure the Old Trafford side retain an element of control over the future of the talent they regard highly. So this was kind of my thing last night when it comes to all of it, Flex, was that if this buyback clause wasn't included, I would be a bit concerned. But if things play out the way that they look like they might, which is a loan, and then possibly you can get close to 20 million euros, which is what, like 15-ish million pounds for a player with a year left on his contract, a young player, and you've got the ability to purchase him back at a later date if indeed he improves massively, then United have an element of control over that entire situation, which isn't the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. I mean, do I think Hannibal is going to be Man United quality at any stage? No, I don't. I say that he can play in this midfield as it currently stands because he can run around and actually, but where we want to be, it's not. And if there's a 20 million euro fee option for Sevilla, that's best part of what, 17 million pounds, just above. That's getting into the territory actually where we're going. Let's start selling to young players who actually haven't done a lot in the first team for some decent money.
Yeah.
Everybody else does. So on a positive, with Ineos coming in and insisting that there's a buyback and being in control, and we triggered his extension as well, didn't we? When people start getting angry at triggering extensions, this is why we do it. And this is why when it didn't happen with Raphael Varane, you would not be able to do this with Raphael Varane had you triggered his extension. We would not have been able to trigger Raphael Varane. And I'm not saying like someone could say, yeah, but we don't want to sell him. He's good. I'm just saying like overall on them wages
also,
to trigger that, there is no future in that whatsoever. And that's why you do it.
With Hannibal too, and he's got a year left on his contract, and we don't know, but he might have communicated to United like, I'm not really interested.
And to get 20 million euros or 17 million pounds for someone who's got a year left on their deal, that's good. And that was the initial thing that was reported by Ornstein. We're getting back. Yeah, exactly. Later on, if you want to. So also, like David Ornstein said, that this was the better move between that and Everton because it commands a sizable contract. Sizable transfer fee for a player who's only got a year left in the summer. If someone said to you, you could sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 20 million pounds and he's got only a year left, or Fred for 20 million pounds and only got a year left, or Hannibal who's hardly paid for his 20 million, whatever. That's about the best you're gonna get, really, for someone who's all right.
My thing is with it, it's just like if we sold Hannibal for 70 million quid to Sevilla, I'd be looking at that Alanga deal going, 50 million was a snip. We should have got way more.
And that's when things weren't good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
We that's exactly what we've been saying. I mean, when Palestri goes, which he probably will, how much will he go for? It needs to be the similar sorts of things. So yeah, I think that's good. Really interesting though on this Mark Ogden situation with this Elise chat, because the Elise chat, we know he's been a link with Ineos for the last month or so since they've been involved, and then it's kind of gone away. But Mark Ogden going quite strong with something he's reporting.
Yeah, so the suggestion is from Mark Ogden that Manchester United have indeed discussed a summer move for Michael Elise, which reportedly could see Aaron Wan-Bissaka returning to Crystal Palace as part of any deal, which is something that I brought up in the past. And I remember people pushing back on that, sort of saying, oh, why you don't get fancy, why are you putting sort of fancy transfers together? But it was only really entirely sort of logical, wasn't it? Because Wan-Bissaka has been linked back for a return. Even when he was on the outs under Erik ten Hag initially, it was like, he might go back to Palace. Now that he's got a year left on his contract, which the report is suggesting that, again, like you mentioned with some of these players that have been triggered, like the Lindelofs, the Wan-Bissakas, etc., it's purely down to there's a hope we can get a fee for him in the summer. So Wan-Bissaka would appear like the Man United are very open to him leaving in the summer. Do you have any concerns when it comes to Elise there? Because some people have been suggesting, well, he gets injured quite a bit. I mean, he's just come back from an injury, now struggling once again with another one. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, injuries are they're creeping up, isn't it? They're creeping up, man. They're creeping up, and
no one's doubting his talent.
No. Listen, it's fantastic. He's brilliant, and he had a couple of what would you call them, long-term injuries? I think you would, wouldn't you?
The last one, the one he just come back from.
Is that a knee?
The one he just come back from was a long-term one, because when he signed that contract extension with Palace, he was out of action.
In the summer. Yeah. And they done well to. I mean, when he signed that, I remember sort of seeing. Is it Steve Parish is still there?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Sort of, he did an interview, didn't he, explaining why and how they did it, and shows he wants to be at Palace and we're in control, etc., etc. But make no mistake, that's completely to protect his value. Put him on 100 grand a week. Everyone wants him now. They're in a great position now. They can demand 60 plus.
Well, I believe I think so. The thing is that in his contract he had a release clause, which is why Chelsea were going to get him for something like 30 odd million. It was going to be a steal.
Yeah, 35 million was his
35 million,
clause
yeah.
last time, yeah.
And I think the reporting is that he's going to have a new one, but it probably won't come into effect until the summer. But it is significantly higher. It probably, like you said, is probably double that I would have thought, possibly sort of 60, 65, something like that. And then it just gets into the territory of you go, well, do you want to spend 60 plus million on a player that, could have injury issues, but we're not disputing is a top quality player.
Yeah.
There
you go. 135 days he was out with that hamstring injury.
Exactly.
We missed 13 games. And then before that, he was out for 12 days. Inflammation of the sole of the foot, to be precise.
But then when you get into the hamstrings, they're a funny one. Look at someone like Reece James, where it's like hamstring, come back, it's not fixed. Hamstring, come back, not fixed.
Well, especially if the kids are still growing.
Exactly. And then you're into a territory like a Reece James, where it's like, right, I'm going to have surgery on this. And I remember, I think it's even like a surgeon or whatever came out and was like, there's no guarantee this is fixed.
Technical. Yeah, exactly. And you really feel it for the player. But with him, I think he's one or two more big injuries away from really going, oh no, I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't say that. You want to give him the benefit of the doubt, which is probably why you want to see how he is after that, because that was a really long layoff. But quality wise and how good he is, yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see their reservations about, Wan-Bissaka. They're saying maybe hasn't quite made the jump up that they thought. Zaha didn't make the jump up as they thought from Palace in 2013. So that means that,
lazy. So
I mean, you can't just, so there's this sort of sense of skepticism or, caution of like, well, you know how it goes when we get a player from Palace, it just ain't going to work. Yeah. Watch Elise go Arsenal then and be back up to Saka and just be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
or
it's like
go Chelsea or something, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. So I don't think that should be the reason. The reason why we don't get him should be straight football reasons, where they look at the profile of player, how he is, what they think the temperament's like, that is he going to fit in, not based off of past transactions between Palace and Man United. Would I like him? Yeah, I think I probably. Well, he's better. Listen, I'm not just using it as just like he's better than Anthony. So yes, I do like Elise. I think that would show us going in a different direction, and it would show that would be a smart Ineos signing to make. I think. I think it's a very Ineos. I know he's not English, but like he's born in England, but he's French. But I just think it fits. Send Wan-Bissaka back there, entice them. It just seems like an easy thing to do. You know
this summer, I'm telling you, the scrutiny that's on from United fans, that's going to be on our transfer business is going to be massive, because what we have just sort of experienced and sat through, particularly this season, is some of like the worst transfer windows we've seen. Like the recruitment's been bad at United for a decade now. It's been horrible. But like the last couple of windows have been not good in terms of drama and in terms of what have you. So certainly this coming summer, the scrutiny that's going to be on how much, which players, not only incomings, but also outgoings as well, how early we do the business, all that kind of stuff is going to be so scrutinized. And I don't even know what to expect. There's no point of reference, The only hope is it can't be as bad as it has been, right? So I don't know. Like you said, I'm a big fan of Elise. He scored the goal recently against Chelsea. I thought it was brilliant. He's just a good player.
Yeah,
he's got a great goal against us last season as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's
top
quality.
Bins, mate, free kick.
Yeah,
he's just a good player. And even if he's not scoring or assisting, he keeps the ball well. He's got good technical ability. He doesn't make crazy decisions. But obviously, like I said, forget the Zaha thing and forget Wan-Bissaka thing. Just in general, Man United for young players is a massive step up. It is a different level of beast. It is different level of scrutiny, and you do need the almost the audacity to play for Man United. You do need that. And actually, he strikes me as someone very calm, got good belief in his ability, good mentality. I know there's been some reports about that. Oh, is he too this, or maybe his personality might not be this or might not be that. I see a really confident kid. Just because he does the interviews and doesn't talk and it's a bit awkward, and like I like that. He just that's that's the kids of today. Like I'm all for that. Like if I'm not a dinosaur that's just stuck in the past with these kids and younger players of how they are, how they dress, how they talk, how they move off the pitch. It's just what new players are. But what they need to do is a due diligence on his effort levels, his training levels, his intensities, his attitude towards the game. Like, how is it? Let's do deep dives into these things, because what we're getting versus what we're buying a lot of the time ain't marrying up. As we finish, yes, we are all done for super chats. We didn't get to 500 likes. We just got below 300. So let's get to 300.
We didn't.
Disgrace, absolute disgrace. Exactly.
It's been a hell of a show. That's why.
Exactly. Today, obviously, full view. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. So stay posted on that. We'll see you guys this evening. Remember, this video is brought to you by Crack Solely. Link is in the video description for all your Crack Solely merch as well. So big up to those guys for getting involved, and big up to every single one of you who has got involved in the chat as well. Has Anana gone? Says good too. So yes, he has. He's on the plane to go and play tonight for Cameroon.
I watched the opening game of AFCON. I watched Cote d'Ivoire play against Guinea. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good little game actually. Yeah, and Ghana bloody lost yesterday to Cape Verde.
I know.
Bloody hell.
And it was proper like late drama as well.
Jeez, yeah. So yeah,
because big up to Micah, because he was supporting Ghana and I saw him very angry on the timeline. It was tremendous.
Not big up to Micah. That's a disgrace and cheat. How have they lost to Cape Verde? That's embarrassing.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, big up any Ghanaians there. You're gonna have to hold that one. That was a tough L to take. Anyway, guys, we'll see you all again soon on another video. We're out of here. Peace.